In this video, we will talk about polymeters and how you can make your melodies way more interesting with them. And I show you a special trick, so watch till the end. So let's start with the technical terms. So poly is many and meter is a measurement. So what does it mean? So we have many measurements, and the first measurement we have in electronic music is usually a 4 on the floor kick drum. So most electronic music has 4 kick drums. Basically we have one quarter note here. There's the first kick drum, second quarter note, second kick drum, third quarter note, third kick drum, fourth quarter note, fourth kick drum. And then everything starts to repeat. So that's basically our loop. And you can see this here in our 4/4 time signature. A time signature works like that. The lower part is in what we measure. So we are measuring in quarter notes. So you can basically imagine like a 1 above here. So we have quarter notes and we have 4 of them as mentioned before. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we would put this to 5, then you can basically see that this 2 jumped from here to here. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until our loop repeats. So closely watch here. When I put this down, if I put it to 4, the 2 moves to the left. If I put it to 3, it moves even further to the left. And if I put it to 5, it moves here to the right. So that's how measurements basically work. And now, as we have the kick drum on 4/4, if we add any other loop, which is not 4/4, we already have a polymeter. So basically one melody is enough to create a little bit different feeling from what we have usually. So that's also the goal for this. So we want to create a melody or create our melody in a way that it's a little bit more out of the box and not repeating straight where everything repeats. If you liked this video, then please hit the thumbs up button. That helps me to spread this video to other producers and shows me which videos you value the most. This is our melody we have now. And very important, this is only visually. So if I play this, it will sound exactly the same if I do it 5/4 or 4/4, because the loop is closed after 4 quarter notes. Exactly the same. So instead of changing this and then basically changing the loop afterwards, we could just directly change the loop and ignore this. So as long as we have this set to quarter notes here, we are creating something which is an X/4 time signature. A bit awkward. This could be something if you go like rising upwards and want to have it very static. And this is what we had before. So now let's look a little bit more here. Also doesn't sound so nice. That was pretty cool. A bit weird, and that's exactly the same as we would close it here, because then we're repeating exactly the same thing. So that's also something you need to take into account if you do this. But this was pretty good here. So let's select this. And now I want to show you a simple technique which helps you to avoid a problem, which we'll talk later about. And it's basically resetting the rhythm at certain spots. So as you can see, we have here a 4/4 time signature. And as this is not 4/4 anymore, so if I put this to quarter notes here, basically you can see that this here is 4, this here is 6. So we are basically repeating here in the middle of the bar again. And there are some points actually where we fall together with the bars again. So for example, here we would naturally come back with the bar. So it's kind of like resetting itself already at some points, but I want to kind of like look if we find like a little bit nicer loop within. If you aren't subscribed to this channel, you find many tutorials about Psytrance production here, and it's really important to not only subscribe, you also want to hit the bell icon, because then you get notifications in your YouTube and you can really decide which videos you want to watch. So all we need to do is we will listen to this, and what I would recommend you can listen one time through everything, and that's what we'll do, but you should also listen to it at certain points. So for example, like every 4 bars, you just stop and start again to reset your ears also, because we're kind of like in the flow of that melody. And it might sound different if we want to later take this loop, if you listen from here, than if you just let it roll. So let's listen one time full, and then we will listen in here, and then we will decide which loop we pick now from our new time signature. So now let's start on certain points. One is already pretty good. Also okay. As I marked this here, should be exactly actually the same than this one. So if I would move this up here and select both, then you can see they overlap perfect way. So this would be something we could loop to a new loop like this. So check this out. We could do this. As we had in the beginning. So to prove my point, let's make this red. And we had in the beginning this yellow thing here, and we had it like 4, 4, and it was looped till here. And if I now put those together, then you see there is a slight change somewhere. Anyways, we just started with listening position every 4 bars. I would then go down and also listen those spots here. So if we go a bit further back, then you could also check out those spots here. These we already listened, so this is also not so bad. If you want to use this maybe then as a starting position, of course you would then also make like a little bit longer loop, or this. Or loose, I don't like that. Also pretty cool. So what I will do is I will use this one and I will use this one. We created basically a new melody out of our old melody by just assigning a different time signature, and then we resetted it. So we bring it back every 4 bars. You could also bring it back every 2 bars or every 8 bars. It doesn't really matter. It depends on the context of your music and what you want to reach and how hypnotic or whatever you want to have it like, or how fantasy and trippy maybe. That's all things you need to consider and then make your decisions based on that. But the technique is very simple. You have a melody which repeats in the 4/4 time signature. You assign a different time signature to it by placing a different loop, and then you just take like a certain part. I mean, you can let it run full, but then we come into a downside which I want to explain. And the thing is here, there's not so much going on because that project is still a brainstorming project. But let's assume we have a grid, we have some effects, maybe have a second melody. Then you will soon run into issues if you have too many different time signatures, because it's not as ordered and controlled as before. And basically by reducing this whole loop we had before into smaller bits which then start all over again, we are creating something which is a little bit more controllable and which is, especially in our crowded music, a little bit more safe to play, I would say. This is also the only real downside I see on that, but it comes with a big upside, and so it's something I use, but I use not like super frequently. I put it like maybe once or twice in a track, and the upside is that you can get something static to something which is a little bit more wild and more interesting than before. If you enjoyed this video, I have a full playlist on how to make melody and leads for Psytrance. You can click here to watch the next video.